Hi, my dear learners. You're welcome to our 10th lesson in integrated science. I hope you're doing well and you are still studying hard. Now, before we begin today's lesson, I want you to take note of this special information. You are to be informed that the scores of assignments 7, 8, and 9 will be ready on this Saturday. So we are encouraged to do all these exercises before Saturday so that I can assess and give you the scores. What do we have today? Today we are looking at the topic light energy, topic we began with about 2 weeks ago. And by the end of the lesson, I expect you to be able to describe how eclipses form or the formation of eclipse. Now let's get some background information on the formation of eclipse. We are saying that an eclipse describes shadow formation among heavenly bodies or celestial bodies or bodies in space. It is therefore an evidence that light travels in a straight line, or it shows that light travels in a straight line. Now let's proceed. Then, how do we define the word eclipse? What's the meaning of eclipse? The word eclipse has several definitions, but I'll outline one of the commonest. We're saying that an eclipse is an event that occurs when light is blocked or obstructed as a result of a heavenly body coming in between an observer and the source of light. An eclipse is an event that occurs when light is blocked as a result of a heavenly body coming in between an observer and the source of light. Alright, let's move on to look at the types of eclipse. What are the types of eclipse? Good. We have eclipse of the sun, eclipse of the moon. So now let's take each of them with supported diagrams to understand the types. So we begin with eclipse of the sun, also known as the solar eclipse. We are saying it occurs when the moon's shadow is cast on the earth as a result of the moon coming in between the sun and the earth. Or it occurs when the sun is blocked by the moon. When the sun's rays is blocked by the what? Moon from reaching the earth. I'm saying that it occurs in daytime when there is new moon. It occurs in daytime when there is new moon. How does new moon look like? You can see from the picture below how new moon looks like. Remember, new moon does not produce light, does not shine. So that's the meaning of new moon. Or is a phase in the moon, or the phase of the moon when it does not receive light from the sun. That's when you have new moon. Now let's look at the diagram of eclipse of the sun to understand the definition better. Now, we're saying eclipse of the sun occurs when the moon's shadow, is cast on the earth as a result of the moon coming in between the sun and the earth. I hope you understand the definition now. All right. In this region, people on earth will see total darkness. They will see total darkness. In this region, they will see partial darkness. Hence the terms penumbra for partial darkness or partial eclipse, and then umbra for total eclipse. Now let's move on to the second type of eclipse to get a difference. Good. Here we're looking at eclipse of the moon or lunar eclipse. We are saying it occurs when the Earth's shadow is cast on the moon as a result of the Earth coming in between the sun and the moon. It occurs when the Earth's shadow is cast on the moon as a result of the Earth coming in between the sun and the moon. I'm saying it occurs at night when there is full moon. Full moon. Again, how does full moon look like? So we earlier on looked at new moon as phase of the moon when it does not receive light from the sun. While full moon is when the moon receives full amount of light from the sun. Okay? Saying that eclipse of the moon occurs when we have got full moon at night. We are saying that in eclipse of the moon, the Earth casts its shadow on the moon. Now, what happens here? Those here, all the people here, remember they are away from the sun. So they are in the night. They are expected to see the moon shine. So let's say the moon is here, moving. You know, the moon orbits the Earth as a satellite. So the moon is here, moving. At this point where it is, the people could see the moon shine, because at this point it is receiving full amount of light from the sun and reflecting it onto the earth. But as the moon continues moving, it gradually enters the shadow of the earth. And at this point, the moon no longer receives light from the sun in order to shine on the earth. Remember we said under sources of light that moon is not a direct source of light because it does not produce any light on its own. Just as the mirror. Just as the mirror, it reflects light from the sun onto the earth. Okay? So at this position, the moon no longer receives light from the sun in order to shine to these people in the night. So they experience total darkness when actually they are expecting the moon to shine. So at this point, we are saying we have what? Eclipse of the moon. Eclipse of the moon. All right. I hope you understand. Now, the understanding will be made better if you strike a tabular difference between eclipse of the sun and eclipse of the moon. So now let's move on to look at that quickly. Very good. So we are looking at the first difference between solar eclipse and lunar eclipse. And this difference has to do with the difference in terms of meaning. So in terms of the meaning, we have one difference. What is that difference? We are saying that Under solar eclipse, the sunlight is blocked by the moon. The sunlight is blocked by the moon. But under lunar eclipse, the sunlight is blocked by the earth. So take note. Now we want to position in terms of arrangement, position. We are saying the moon lies between the sun and the earth. But under lunar eclipse, the earth lies between the sun and the moon. A quick way to remember this arrangement: use the short form SME. SME. And then for lunar eclipse, use the short form SEM. SEM. In order to remember the arrangement. Then we now move on to frequency. How often does each type of eclipse occur? So how often does each type occur? Now we take the first one. Solar eclipse occurs less often. Sometimes twice every 18 months. Now, at this point, some will argue that the last time it happened here was 2006 in Ghana here. And if it should be happening twice every 18 months, we should have experienced it long before, several times up to now. The point is the arrangement of the sun, moon, and earth for solar eclipse to occur does not happen at one place all the time. It changes. So Ghana may experience it this year, but it will take several years, sometimes 20 or 30 years, before we experience it. We experience solar eclipse at the same spot here in Ghana. But remember, in 18 months later, it may occur at some other point on the earth. So this explains why, even though I said by what the scientists are saying that it occurs once in 18 months, we do not experience it often in Ghana. So take note of that. So it occurs less often. Now lunar eclipse occurs very often, usually twice every year. Twice every year. Okay? Alright. Now let's move on to time of the day. Period. We're saying that it occurs during the day, when there's daylight. And under lunar eclipse, it occurs during nights or at nights. Then we're looking at the phase of the moon. Phase of the moon. Light occurs. Remember, solar eclipse occurs at new moon, when the moon does not produce light, at new moon. And under lunar eclipse, it occurs at full moon, when the moon is in its full capacity, producing light. Then we're looking at duration. That is, if it should occur, how long does it last? We're saying that solar eclipse lasts for a short time, averagely 5.7 minutes. 5.7 minutes. Then lunar eclipse lasts for a long time, sometimes 1 hour, per the record so far. Then finally, we're looking at places on the earth that experience solar eclipse. We are saying that only few places experience solar eclipse. The reason is the area of shadow cast by the moon, looking at the size of the moon, is very small. That's why only few places on the earth sees solar eclipse. And this again explains why it does not occur often. Then lunar eclipse, when it happens, many places will experience lunar eclipse compared with solar eclipse. So these are the differences. At least you should master 5 of them for examination's sake. dear learners, today's lesson talks about how eclipse is formed. We delved into the types of eclipse, solar eclipse, and lunar eclipse. We look at the diagrams and then we ended with the differences between the two types of eclipse. Thank you for your patience with me. Do your work and submit it in time. Till we meet again, stay safe. Bye-bye.